Dark Souls. Again. Since its release, there has been a seemingly ceaseless discharge of content gushing from it still 5 years later. You've got Let's Plays, challenge runs, reviews, and critical analysis. Yet the most interesting to me are the lore videos. The byproduct of such a mysterious and dense story is a community that is forced to work together in order to combine their perspectives to parse it out. And the way Aegon of Astora put it during his Let's Talk lore series on Bloodborne is that the game gives its clues via an archaeological approach. This thought got me thinking about how other games go about delivering their lore to the player. Before anything, I should probably go about defining the term lore, at least in how I'll be using it. Lore is the history of a person, place, or thing that the audience couldn't necessarily glean from normal observation or interaction. So, games with functionally similar lore delivery systems are like BioShock and latter-day Fallouts. BioShock having primarily audio logs, while Fallout uses its terminals as well as audio recordings. First, let's listen to this audio log from BioShock.
Another New Year's, another night alone. I'm out and you're stuck in Hephaestus, working. Imagine my surprise. I guess I'll have another drink. Here's a toast to Diane McClintock, silliest girl in Rapture. Silly enough to fall in love with Andrew Ryan. Silly. What happened? I'm bleeding. Oh God. What's happening?
This log does a lot. It expresses the melancholy of a woman alone on New Year's Eve, contains the irony of her falling in love with Andrew Ryan, and sets a time period to where the violence in Rapture started. Then there is something like Vault 11 in Fallout New Vegas. A sort of micro-narrative is told about the vault through only a handful of terminal entries and audio recordings, piecing together the dark and tragic end of the vault, and shedding even more light on Vault-Tech's malicious intents.
Alright, I know you can hear me, so listen up. There's 5 of us left. 5 out of I don't know how many. So, it's over. We've talked and it's over. We're not gonna send anybody to die anymore. So shut off our water, our gases, or do whatever it is you're programmed to do. But we're done listening to you.
Congratulations, citizens of Vault 11. You have made the decision not to sacrifice one of your own. You can walk with your head held high, knowing that your commitment to human life is a shining example to us all. And to make that feeling of pride even sweeter, I have some exciting news. Despite what you were led to believe, the population of Vault 11 is not going to be exterminated for its disobedience. Instead, the mechanism to open the main vault door has now been enabled, and you can come and go at your leisure. But not so fast. Be sure to check with your overseer to find out if it's safe to leave. Here at Vault-Tech, your safety is our #1 priority.
Now, worst case scenario, these can sometimes be used as just trite ways of telling the player where to find a small treasure hidden in the level. At their best, though, what the audio logs and terminals have in common with Dark Souls item descriptions is that they leave bits of the past in context with the environment, so as for you to learn more about the people who actually live there. Now, similar in format rather than function are the Doom 3 PDA videos. Yes, that game also has audio logs, but they work just like BioShock's, so I'm gonna skip that. These videos are used mainly to describe the minutiae of the UAC facility and how its technology works. Because when I'm playing Doom, I really need something to help suspend my disbelief. To be fair, I suspect they are knowingly tongue-in-cheek.
Welcome to the UAC Maintenance Department. This video will provide you with the necessary tools and information to do your job efficiently and safely. A safe worker is a happy worker, and your safety is our #1 priority at UAC.
The last form of lore I would like to talk about is what I would call encyclopedic. Games like contemporary BioWare titles with their codexes, the Witcher series journals, the Elder Scrolls series with actual encyclopedias, and even the reboot of Doom employ this model. This method of lore giving has paragraphs upon paragraphs of lore for the player, but is hindered by the fact that the player has to read paragraphs upon paragraphs of lore to learn it. It compromises the context of gaining knowledge in the game space for depth of world building, which really only satisfies the most die-hard of fans who find the intricacies of other characters' anatomy to be endlessly fascinating. Clearly this style doesn't appeal to myself, but it has its place. So why is Dark Souls lore so special? On the surface, it's really only doing what these other games have done, attaching some text to objects describing their utility and entities connected to it. What actually sets it apart and elevates it is what the game lacks compared to these others I've mentioned: a traditionally conveyed plot. To demonstrate this, let's look at a game like Mass Effect 2. We play as the recently deceased Commander Shepard, who is miraculously revived by Martin Sheen and co. to do his bidding. After being sent to a cleared-out human colony, we find that everyone has been stolen away by a mysterious race called the Collectors. Returning to the elusive man, he sets up the stakes for us and gives us our objective: figure out what the Collectors are up to, and gather a team to stop them, and presumably the big evil, aka the Reapers. Through ample dialogue and a plot that's pretty bog standard for RPGs at this point, the player is aware of what is going on. This also applies to the companion missions, which themselves have their own stories forwarding the arcs of the characters they pertain to. Dark Souls, on the other hand, isn't so helpful. Of course it has its opening cinematic, one of the grandest I've ever seen, establishing the world of Lordran and how it came to be. There are also NPCs to share some knowledge, like Oscar of Astora, the Crestfallen Knight, and Kingseeker Frampt. But first time through, a new player really won't pay any mind to these item descriptions, or continue talking to a character past the first press of the talk button. They're concerned with the ludic narrative: encounter enemies, learn their placement, fight boss, bonfire, repeat. And when it's constantly and absent-mindedly reinforced that the game is uber difficult by marketing and general discussion, though it's mercifully subsiding, that is going to paint their frame of mind to, let's just try and stay alive. Like, look at a character like Sif. Without understanding Artorias, the Abyss, and Ulysseal, the player only sees an obstacle to a win state with a badass design, rather than the tragic figure that Sif is. This takes reading descriptions from items from all around the world, plus playing through the DLC to get the full impact of that encounter. The point is that Dark Souls' story is the lore. To fully comprehend the events happening to you, and those which you cause, you must investigate the items' descriptions and their context in the world. Okay, so Dark Souls plays coy with its story. That isn't an amazing revelation. What is most intriguing is the implications of this narrative design. In a semi-recent PBS Idea Channel episode, What's the Difference Between History and the Past?, Mike Rignetta posits, history is a reconstructed version of the past. Most often, the way the past is reconstructed for modern understanding is via narrative, a progression of events in time. Without narrative, history as we understand it is very different. There's just an unconnected string of events, each arising suddenly without circumstance. From this, he goes on to say that, really, historians are artists in and of themselves. They craft engaging narratives collected from the scraps of the past so people can marvel at or learn from them. And this can be applied to the players of Dark Souls. If the lore is given to us via virtual artifacts of the past, we are the archaeologists and historians who are actually creating story, using the medium of forum posts and YouTube videos to do so. It's a new type of emergent narrative, and this seems to be intentional on director Hidetaka Miyazaki's part. In the Bloodborne guide interview with Future Press, he said, "That's something deliberate on our part. I like reading about how gamers interpret or think about the story and the world of my games, so I don't want to rob them of that space for open interpretation." And as we've seen from the amount of content sussing out the events of all the From Software RPGs, they've more than excelled at creating a new play space for these storytellers.